Imagine losing everything you've ever known in an instant. That's what happened to Max. Have you ever wondered how lost dogs survive and find their way back home? Today I'm sharing an incredible story that'll make you see your furry friend in a whole new light. Stay with me because what Max goes through to get home is going to blow your mind. Picture this, a quiet suburban neighborhood on a crisp autumn morning. The leaves are changing colors, creating a vibrant backdrop of orange, red, and yellow. The air is cool but comfortable, carrying the scent of fresh dew and fallen leaves. This is where our story begins, at a cozy two-story house with blue shutters and a red front door. Inside lives the Wilson family, James and Sarah, who have been married for 12 years, and their daughter Emma, a bright-eyed teen who's away at her first year of college. But there's another important member of this family, Max, a 5-year-old golden retriever with warm brown eyes and a constantly wagging tail. Max has been with the Wilsons since he was a puppy. James and Sarah got him shortly after Emma started high school, thinking he'd help with the transition when she eventually left for college. They were right. When Emma moved into her dorm 3 months ago, Max became their primary focus, their empty nest syndrome cure. Every morning follows the same routine. Sarah wakes up first and takes Max for a quick walk around the block before heading to work at the local hospital where she's a nurse. James, who works from home as a graphic designer, takes over dog duty for the rest of the day. On this particular morning, Sarah is running late. Her alarm didn't go off, and she has an important meeting at the hospital that she absolutely cannot miss. "James," she calls out, hurriedly putting on her shoes. "Can you take Max for his morning walk? I'm so late." James, still half asleep, mumbles something that sounds like agreement. Sarah kisses him on the forehead, grabs her bag, and rushes out the door. But James falls back asleep, completely forgetting about Max's walk. Max, patient as always, waits by the door. 1 hour passes, then 2. His bladder is getting uncomfortably full, and his internal clock tells him something is off about today's routine. Finally, he can't wait any longer and starts whining and scratching at the door. James wakes with a start, suddenly remembering his promise to Sarah. "Oh no, Max, I'm so sorry, buddy." He quickly grabs Max's leash and opens the front door. Max, relieved that he's finally going to get his walk, bolts out excitedly, pulling the leash right out of James's loose grip. "Max, stop!" James calls out, but it's too late. Max is already racing down the street, his golden fur gleaming in the morning sun. James runs after him in his pajamas and slippers, but Max is too fast, too eager for his delayed freedom. At the end of their street is a busy intersection. Max has never crossed it alone before. He always stops and waits for Sarah or James to check for cars. But today, in his excitement, he doesn't pause. He darts right into the road just as the light changes. A car honks loudly and swerves to avoid him. Max, startled by the noise and the near miss, veers off in a different direction, away from his normal route and into unfamiliar territory. By the time James reaches the intersection, Max is nowhere to be seen. Panic sets in as James frantically looks in all directions. "Max," he shouts, his voice cracking with worry. "Max, come back." But Max is gone, running blindly through streets he doesn't recognize, his leash trailing behind him like a flag of misplaced freedom. For hours, Max runs. The initial excitement of his escape has long worn off, replaced by confusion and growing anxiety. Nothing looks familiar anymore. The smells are different, the sounds strange and sometimes frightening. Cars zoom by too close for comfort, and people he doesn't know call out to him, some trying to grab his leash. By midday, Max is exhausted. His tongue hangs from his mouth as he pants heavily, and his paws are sore from running on rough concrete. He finds himself in a park, not the small one near his home where James often takes him to play fetch, but a much larger one with winding paths and dense clusters of trees. Max wanders deeper into the park, eventually finding a quiet spot under a bench near a small pond. He curls up there, tucking his nose under his paw, and watches ducks glide across the water. His stomach growls with hunger, and the tag on his collar jingles softly as he shifts position. Back at home, James is beside himself. He's called in sick to work and has spent the morning driving around the neighborhood, calling Max's name out the window. By lunchtime, he calls Sarah, his voice thick with emotion as he explains what happened. "I'll come home right away," Sarah says, hearing the distress in her husband's voice. Within the hour, they're both printing flyers with Max's picture and "Lost Dog" in bold letters across the top. They include their phone numbers and the information that Max is microchipped. By evening, they've plastered these flyers all over the neighborhood and surrounding areas, posted on social media, and contacted local animal shelters. "He'll come back," Sarah keeps saying, as much to convince herself as to comfort James. "He knows his way home." But as darkness falls and there's still no sign of Max, doubt creeps in. They leave the garage door partially open with Max's bed and favorite toys inside, hoping the familiar scents will guide him back if he's nearby. Meanwhile, Max has spent the day hiding under that bench in the park. A few kind strangers noticed him and tried to approach, but he shied away, too scared to trust anyone. One woman left half a sandwich near him, which he devoured once she was gone. As night settles in, the park empties of people. The temperature drops and Max shivers slightly. He's never spent a night outside before. Every sound makes his ears perk up: the hoot of an owl, the rustle of leaves in the breeze, the distant wail of a siren. Eventually, exhaustion overcomes his fear and he falls into a restless sleep. The next morning, Max is woken by the chatter of early joggers. His muscles are stiff and his stomach aches with hunger. The half sandwich from yesterday is a distant memory. He needs food and water. Max cautiously emerges from his hiding spot. The park looks different in the morning light, less threatening but still unfamiliar. He wanders along the paths, his nose to the ground, picking up countless scents but none that lead him home. Near the park's entrance, a food truck is setting up for the day. The smell of cooking meat makes Max's mouth water. He approaches cautiously, his tail giving a hopeful wag. The food truck operator, a middle-aged man named Ray, notices Max immediately. "Hey there, buddy," he calls softly. "You look lost." Max keeps his distance but sits down, his eyes fixed on Ray's hands as they prepare breakfast sandwiches. Ray, a dog owner himself, recognizes the look of a hungry dog. He takes a piece of cooked bacon and tosses it gently toward Max. Max snaps it up instantly, his tail wagging faster now. Ray continues to toss small pieces of food, each one a little closer to him than the last. Eventually, Max is eating right beside the food truck, and Ray can see the tags on his collar. "Let's see who you belong to," Ray murmurs, slowly reaching for Max's collar. But a sudden crash from inside the food truck startles Max, and he bolts away before Ray can read the information. Ray calls after him, but Max is already racing across the park, his brief moment of trust shattered by fear. This pattern repeats over the next few days. Max wanders from place to place, sometimes finding food from kind strangers, other times scavenging from trash cans. He drinks from puddles and fountains. Each night he finds a different hiding spot to sleep: under a porch, beside a dumpster, in a children's playground tunnel. All the while, his collar with the Wilsons' contact information dangles from his neck, but Max never stays still long enough for anyone to help him. Back at the Wilson house, James and Sarah are distraught but refusing to give up hope. They've expanded their search radius, driving to neighborhoods farther and farther from home. They've contacted every animal shelter and veterinary clinic in a 20-mile radius. They've posted Max's picture on every social media platform and pet finding website they can find. "It's been 5 days, James says on the morning of day 6, his voice hollow. "What if he's—" Sarah cuts him off. Don't even think it. Max is smart. He's survived this long and he's going to keep surviving until we find him." That same morning, Max wakes up in an alley behind a restaurant. He's thinner now, his once shiny coat dulled by dirt and lack of proper nutrition. But something feels different today. There's a smell in the air, faint but familiar. It reminds him of home. Max follows this scent, his nose guiding him through streets he's never seen before. The smell grows stronger, and with it, his determination. It's not the exact smell of his home, but it's similar: the same laundry detergent Sarah uses, the same brand of coffee James brews every morning. The scent leads him to a small house several miles from his own. In the yard, a woman is hanging laundry on a line, sheets that smell like the ones on the Wilsons' bed. Max approaches cautiously, his tail giving a tentative wag. The woman notices him and smiles. "Well, hello there," she says gently. "Are you lost?" Max allows her to approach this time, too tired and hungry to run away. She reads his tag and immediately goes inside to call the number listed. Sarah is in the middle of making yet another batch of flyers when her phone rings. She doesn't recognize the number but answers anyway, as she's been doing with every call since Max disappeared. Hello, she says, trying to keep the hope from her voice. Hi, is this Sarah Wilson? A woman's voice asks. Yes, it is. My name is Linda Green. I think I've found your dog, golden retriever named Max. Sarah nearly drops the phone. Yes, yes, that's him. Is he okay? Where are you? Linda gives her address, explaining that Max showed up in her yard looking tired and hungry but otherwise unharmed. Sarah thanks her profusely, tears streaming down her face as she calls James, who's out putting up flyers. Within 30 minutes, they're both pulling up to Linda's house. Max, who has been given water and some leftover chicken, is resting on Linda's porch. When he sees the familiar car, his ears perk up. When James and Sarah step out, his entire body seems to come alive. With more energy than he's shown in days, Max races toward them, nearly knocking Sarah over as he jumps up to lick her face. James kneels down, wrapping his arms around the dog, not caring about the dirt transferring to his clothes. How did he find his way here? Sarah asks Linda through happy tears. We live over 7 miles away. Linda shrugs. Dogs have amazing instincts, and I do use the same laundry detergent that's on his collar. Maybe he smelled something familiar. As they thank Linda and prepare to leave, Sarah notices something. James, look, she says, pointing to Max's paws. They're raw and cracked from days of walking on rough surfaces. He really did try to walk all the way home. On the drive back, Max sits between them in the front seat, breaking their usual rule of pets in the back, his head resting contentedly on Sarah's lap. James reaches over to scratch behind Max's ears. You know, he says quietly, I read somewhere that dogs have an internal compass. They can sense the Earth's magnetic field and use it to navigate. Sarah smiles, her hand never leaving Max's fur. I believe it. He was trying to find his way back to us. When they pull into their driveway, Max's tail starts wagging frantically. He recognizes home. As soon as the car door opens, he bounds toward the house, waiting impatiently at the front door. Inside, Max races from room to room, as if reassuring himself that everything is still there, still the same. He drinks deeply from his water bowl, devours the special meal Sarah prepares for him, and then collapses on his bed in the living room, exhausted but visibly content. That night, despite their rule about dogs not sleeping in the bedroom, they make an exception. Max curls up at the foot of their bed, occasionally lifting his head to make sure his humans are still there before drifting back to sleep. The next day, they take Max to the vet for a thorough checkup. Apart from being dehydrated, having lost weight, and the raw paws, he's in remarkably good shape. The vet treats his paws and recommends rest and proper nutrition to get him back to full health. He's lucky, the vet says. Most dogs that are lost for this long don't make it back home. We're the lucky ones, Sarah replies, stroking Max's head as he leans against her leg. In the weeks that follow, Max recovers fully. His coat regains its shine, his weight returns to normal, and the pads of his paws heal completely. But there are subtle changes in him. He's more cautious on walks, staying closer to James or Sarah. He's more attentive, often checking to make sure they're nearby. And sometimes at night, they catch him staring out the window at the world beyond, as if remembering his adventure. James and Sarah have changed too. They've installed a more secure fence around their yard. They've updated Max's microchip information and added a GPS tracker to his collar. Most importantly, they never take for granted the simple joy of having him greet them at the door each day. One evening, about a month after Max's return, Emma comes home for a weekend visit from college. The moment she walks through the door, Max goes wild with excitement, jumping and spinning and making the strange whining sounds that are uniquely his way of expressing joy. Later, as they sit together in the living room, Emma listening to the full story of Max's adventure for the first time, Max moves from person to person, resting his head briefly on each of their laps before moving to the next, as if reassuring himself that his entire family is finally together again. You know, Emma says thoughtfully, scratching Max behind the ears just the way he likes, I was reading about this in my psychology class. They call it the homing instinct. It's not just dogs, lots of animals have it. But with dogs, there's something more than just navigation. They have an emotional pull toward their people. Sarah smiles, watching Max as he finally settles down at their feet, content in the knowledge that his family is complete and he is exactly where he belongs. I believe that, she says softly, I really do. The bond between a dog and their family is something special, something worth fighting to get back to, even when the odds seem impossible. Max's journey home reminds us of the incredible connection we share with our four-legged family members. If you enjoyed Max's story, click the video popping up now to watch another incredible tale of animal courage and the unbreakable bond between pets and their humans.